Hello everyone, and welcome back to another election prediction. And today, we're going to be doing an overview and a prediction regarding the battle in DC for the control of Congress. And let me just say, it is not looking pretty for America. It's looking more and more likely that we're going to have a split Congress next year, meaning that whoever becomes elected as America's next president is not going to be as effective because they won't be able to get Congress to agree to pass some of their legislative agenda. And we can see why people think there's going to be a split Congress. Republicans seem pretty likely to take back the Senate since they really only need to worry about flipping back one Senate seat, with the betting odds Polymarket giving the Republicans over a 70% chance of victory. And on the other hand, the Democrats seem pretty likely to take back the House, with them leading by around a percentage point in the generic ballot, and Polymarket's giving them around a 60% chance of victory. And we can see why people think that, because, like I said, they're not only leading in the generic ballot, but also the winner of the generic ballot correlates with the winner of the House of Representatives, at least historically speaking, until the year 2012. Oh, but you're probably thinking the leader in the generic ballot isn't as indicative of how a majority of congressional districts across America will vote. And yeah, you'd be right. But the reality of the situation is that in 2022, Republicans barely eked out a victory in a plus 2.7 Republican environment. And if the Democrats are switching the national environment to a plus 1% Democrat environment, meaning it's 3.6% to the left of where it was in 2022, it seems more and more likely that the Democrats are going to take back the House. And on the other hand, in 2022, Democrats did not have a lot of enthusiasm to vote because Joe Biden didn't really bring a lot of enthusiasm to the Democratic base. But now that Kamala is the nominee, around 88% of Democrats are excited to vote for the Democratic nominee. And so that's why the Democratic voter base has a lot of enthusiasm. But on the other hand, there's a lot of evidence that Democratic politicians across America have a lot of enthusiasm as well. Just look at this article from the Washington Post where Wisconsin Democrat Senator Tammy Baldwin is seemingly portrayed as being unenthusiastic when President Biden came to visit her state. This shows in high contrast to when Kamala Harris later came to visit her state, where the article literally writes her as being, quote, beaming as she spoke, end quote, to what the article describes as a re-energized group of Kamala Harris supporters. And this really goes to show that there's not only increased enthusiasm within the base, but also within the Democratic politicians, which will possibly help them flip the necessary seats to take back the House of Representatives and increase turnout. Additionally, I do feel it worth mentioning to you guys that you shouldn't expect whoever wins the House of Representatives to have a large margin of victory over the other. Many forecasts are suggesting a very small seat difference between the two parties when all this is said and done. So anyone predicting the party that wins the House of having a majority of like 20 seats or even just double digits might honestly just be doing wishful thinking. So moving on to the Senate, like I said, I agree with the betting odds that the Republicans are pretty likely to take back the Senate. In fact, I think it's larger than the percentage they have there, larger than 70% likely. And the reason I say this is because the states that the Republicans need to flip are pretty easy to flip for them. So first, let's start filling out the map. So we'll go to Arizona first, and I'm pretty sure Ruben Gallego is going to take it by just under safe margin because he has been leading in the polls there by around 7 points. But remember that Lake, she underperformed her polls when she was running for governor in 2022, and just as she did then, I expect her to underperform this time as well. And in Nevada, I expect the Republican Brown to outperform his polls, actually. He's trailing by 9. I think he's going to lose by 7, and the reason I think he's going to outperform his polls is because I do expect Trump to help him out a little bit, since I expect Trump to win Nevada. Now in the Rust Belt, I expect the Democrats to sweep the big 3 Rust Belt states, and the reason I say that is because the Democrats have been leading consistently in all the polls there in the Rust Belt. Tammy Baldwin leading by around 7 there. Bob Casey, the really popular senator from Pennsylvania, he's leading by almost 8 points there. Michigan, on the other hand, I do expect it to be closer because their senator, I forget her name, she's retiring there, and it leaves the Democrats more vulnerable to a seat flipping there. Now, if we move on to like the important states, let's be honest, the Republicans are gonna win at least one of these. Tim Sheehy, the Republican nominee from Montana, he's been bouncing around like crazy in the polls. I remember seeing on X or Twitter that he was trailing his opponent by 5, but if we look at the majority of polls here on Real Clear Politics, we can see Sheehy winning handily. And I know many of you guys don't trust Rasmussen, but like just look at all the other polls from Real Clear Politics, even the ones from non-Republican internals. We can see Sheehy pretty likely to win Montana and take back the Senate. Now, Ohio, on the other hand, even though Republicans have basically turned it into a red state on the national level, I do expect Sherrod Brown to barely hold on by a few thousand votes. And the reason I say that is because Brown is very popular amongst the white working class there, and he's gotten the endorsement of many unions that work here, which I think will help him carry him to victory and barely hold on for another 6 years. So there you have it. There's my Senate prediction, 51-49 in favor of the Republicans taking back the Senate. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you guys later.